this little. Oh, I'm thrilled. Oh, I'm so happy now. Anyway, I am happy to see all of you. This is fantastic. This is my first time back since my good friend Claude Nobbs passed away. It was very, very hard for me to come back here because you don't know this, but Claude Nobbs was my very first tour manager. Way back when Chic first started in 1977. We were, imagine this, imagine Chic and Claude Nobbs in Amsterdam in the snow, pushing our amplifiers down the street. Right, we're pushing, and Claude is going, come on. Okay, cool, Claude, we're gonna make it. Our love and our relationship was so phenomenal, and he passed away only a few days after he had come to New York to meet with me, because the last time I played here, he let me do my own festival within the festival. I don't know if any of you were there that night, but we went. It was unbelievable. We had so many artists, everybody from Mark Ronson to, Grace Jones, and it was just incredible. Even Patrick Juvet, I love America, and he was awesome. He was kicking ass, right? He was smoking. I was like going, a little fat, but he was cool. I was like going, yo, Patrick, lay off the foie gras. But it was wonderful. It was so loving. It was so much fun. And my history with Claude is just, I don't even know how to explain it. The fact that he came all the way over to New York to visit with me only a few days before he passed away, because we were planning the next year. Because the first year was so successful, we thought, what the hell are we gonna do to top that? We had so many great artists. So I'm happy to be back here this year, and it's wonderful because so many things are in sync. I really wanted to talk to you tonight mainly about David Bowie, Let's Dance, because it's our 40th anniversary. And the thing that is always confusing to me, David and I were the only ones in the studio when we made that record. So no one else knows anything except the two of us and the musicians that were there. We first did the demos for Let's Dance to show you how important Claude is to my life. David was living here in Switzerland, in Lausanne, and he invited me over to his house to work on some demos. I was lying in bed, sleeping, having a really nice sleep, and he walks into my room and he says, "No, darling, I think this is a hit." And he plays a song that, to me, was not terrible, but you gotta understand the backstory. Before I got to Switzerland, David and I had gone around to museums and gone to people's houses with big record collections because we didn't have streaming. The only way you could hear music in the old days was turn on the radio and wait. That was impossible. How the hell are you gonna do pre-production with David Bowie like that? Oh, I like that song. Every 2 days something might happen. So we went to where there were big record collections. So after we decided that what we were gonna do, no, let me make this really honest. After he decided, had nothing to do with me, he said to me, Nile, darling. He always said Nile, darling. So that's why I'm gonna say that a lot, because he always said Nile, darling. And my girlfriend at the time used to always say everything was serious. Believe it or not, that's where the hell Serious Moonlight came from. Because my girlfriend would say, damn, Nile, that shit is serious. Whoa, Nile, that's serious. The grooves are serious. That's serious. Boom, David, Serious Moonlight. Trust me, this is honest music history. This is the truth. So, anyway, so David comes into my room one day and he says, Nile, I think this is a hit. Or Nile, darling, I think this is a hit. He plays a song for me. He has a 12-string guitar. And to me, a 12-string guitar means folk music. You know, he's 5'2" and he's 6'4". You know, yeah, I'm thinking it's that kind of stuff. He walks in and he plays a little lick, and it's a pretty cool lick. But prior to that, in New York, when we went checking around and going to museums and going to record archives, David then said to me one day at my apartment, Nile, darling, I want you to make what you do best. And I said, wow, what do I do best? Because he and I have been talking about nothing but jazz. As a matter of fact, almost every record we listened to was a jazz record. We didn't listen to pop records. We knew what they sounded like. He said, I want you to do what you do best. I said, oh, great. What's that? He says, make a hit album, not single, a hit album is what he told me to do. I was nervous because what he played for me didn't sound like the beginning of a hit album, and it damn sure didn't sound like the beginning of a hit single, and I was terrified. So I thought he was trying to see if I was a sycophant. I hope you guys know what that word means, like, oh, David, that really sounds great. But no, I'm not that guy. I really wanted to make the best Bowie record I could make. I called his office and I said, David just played a song for me that he told me he thinks is a hit, and it doesn't sound like a hit to me. Do you think that he's trying to trick me? And I'm gonna go, oh, Mr. Bowie, that's really great. I think that's fantastic. It's gonna be a hit. And they said, Nile, he is not that kind of person. If he tells you he thinks it's a hit, he thinks it's a hit. Wow, wow, wow. I was a little bit shocked because we had listened to so many cool jazz records. I thought we were going to incorporate jazz into pop and then make these really cool singing records like I make. If you listen to Chic songs, with the exception of a few like The Freak or something, but most Chic songs have really cool jazz chord changes, but they sound really simple. So you just go, everybody dance, boom, do-do-do-do, clap your boom, down, down, or boom, I want your love, gang, gang, boom. I think I'm McCoy Tyner. Boom, down, boom, 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 boom. So I'm thinking that's what we're gonna do. Anyway, long story short, I said to David, because we had talked about jazz so much, I knew that he understood the vernacular. He knew the terminology. And I said, hey, David, what if I do an arrangement? And he flipped out. He went, fantastic. Let me hear your arrangement of this thing that he played for me. So I told him the next day, I called Claude Knobs and I said, hey, Claude, can you do me a favor? I wrote out all these arrangements. Can you send 3 jazz musicians over to the recording studio that can read music? And we went to, Queen used to have a studio here called Mountain. We went to Mountain Studios. He sent 3 guys in. I never knew who they were. And I feel bad because I don't really know their names. I found pictures, I've looked, and so we've since identified them, but I still don't know their names because they were just there for 2 days of my life. And plus, I was a drug addict and whoops. So anyway, he sends these 3 guys over, guitar player, bass player, and a drummer, and they could all read music, thank God. And so I put the music on the stands, we go into Mountain Studios, and we record, I thought, just Let's Dance. But I didn't know until only a few years ago when Bowie's estate sent me a thumb drive of everything that we recorded that day, those 2 days. I actually recorded the demo for the entire Let's Dance album, except for 2 songs, Ricochet and China Girl. Ricochet, which he and I wrote in the studio, and China Girl, which he whipped on me at the last minute, went, hey Niall, I'd like to do this song over again. What? And if my engineer is ready, I want to play you exactly what we did the very next day. Because I stayed up all night writing out all the arrangements of the songs, because David came into my room with some demos. But I only remember Let's Dance, forgive me. I only remember Let's Dance because that was the only one he played. The other demos were songs that we were covering. But let me show you. So history, when you see David's history, so Let's Dance became the biggest album of his life. Really big, exactly what he asked me to do. But if you look at the interviews, well, I really miss my life as a, an artist that's so, whatever, and success has changed my life. Dude, you asked me for that. I gave you that. You wanted that. You had been chasing it all your life. I love you. You're a genius. You're a great artist. But sometimes you're ahead of the public and they don't catch up to you. So it's cool what you did before. The fact that you didn't sell a lot of records, don't be embarrassed. Don't apologize. You are a great artist looking for that connectivity between people. That's what artists do. He happened to get me, and I said, okay, I want to make you connect with people. This is the very first time David ever heard my arrangement. This is the first time I heard my arrangement, because of course I wrote it down. I could hear it in my head somewhat. But anybody who's ever worked with me knows that nothing means anything until I actually really hear us playing it. I can write it out and all that, but that's just intellectual. That's not from the soul. It's just what you think is going to work. Is there any way you guys can play what we really did and even play the intro? Let me show you how happy David was. So all of that, my life was, fuck, man, no. He was thrilled, he was happy, it was amazing. It was one of the greatest recording sessions of my life. It was, we made the entire album when we finally went back to America in 17 days, because the clarity of these 2 days that I spent here in Switzerland, we had a perfect roadmap of how to move forward in the future. So when we went into the studio, I said to David, I want you to sing exactly what you sang at my bed. And he was playing jing, 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 let down, ding, ding, do the song we're playing on the radio. Jing, 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 let's dance, ding. Whoa, dude, okay. And it wasn't terrible, honestly it wasn't, but it wasn't what he told me. It wasn't that hit album thing. This is the first thing we did, and the only thing we did until we finally made the real record in America. First time we played it, one take, we never did a second take, and this is the first time. Can we hear this?